I'm here in Indianapolis, so hello to Glow Time Radio.
Hello to everyone.
Yes, and I'm with the absolutely lovely Martha High.
Yes.
And Martha's background is she's a singer, and we actually sat next to each other on the plane yesterday.
Yes, we did. Yes,
and
we did.
Martha was munching down on a chicken sandwich, and I was so hungry. I was just hoping she'd give me some, but I didn't know her well enough.
If I had known that you were hungry, I sure would have shared it with you.
Well, that's lovely. Now, I looked at you yesterday, and you had a baseball hat hiding half of your face, Martha, and you had some Nike sneakers on, and I thought, I don't know, this woman, I think she might be a musician.
I was wondering how you figured that out. You know, I was surprised when you said, "Are you in the music business?" And I thought, well, okay, yeah, I am.
So, Martha, tell us about your music career. You started singing in church?
Yes, I did, but I always loved to sing. So, 10th grade, I met a few young ladies, and we decided to form a group. One of the young ladies was Zeola Gay, which was Marvin Gaye's sister. So we started trying to do a little harmonizing and everything.
Now, was Marvin at that time singing?
I think that his song that he had out at that time was Hitchhikes. Marvin Gaye, you know. Zeola couldn't sing that well.
So all the talent went to Marvin instead of his sister.
Yeah, she couldn't sing that well. But during that time, we met Bo Diddley, and because this was like the early 60s. One day, Bo Diddley approached me and said, Martha, I would like for you to do something.
He had heard your voice.
Yes, because we always rehearsed at his place, at his studio, and then he had even taken us out on the road with him a couple of times, but we couldn't go into the clubs because we were too young.
Yeah.
I was in the 12th grade at that time. So I auditioned.
So did you know the songs that they were?
Yes, a couple of them I did. They gave me the part that they wanted me to try. About 3 days later, Sandra called me. She was the lead of the group, and she said, Martha, we have chosen you to join our group. And I was like, really? I said, really? And they said, yeah. And we felt that your voice blended better with ours, better than the
Yes,
other
because
girls.
sometimes being a good singer, your voice can have a different kind of tone.
Yes.
And it clashes with a different type of voice.
Yes.
Some people have got a soft singing voice, some people have got quite harsh, some people, their perfect pitch comes up quite high. And so they actually listened to you in harmony with them and said, yeah, this voice will really work with us.
Exactly. Still not thinking that this would go anywhere.
But you were willing to give it a try.
Oh, definitely. I was just thrilled because they were just like one of the biggest groups in Washington, D.C. at that time. So I was very, very grateful and
you
very
had no
pleased.
idea what it was going to be like for you.
No, not at all. But started singing with them, and then from clubs around Washington D.C., Maryland. We met Gladys Knight and the Pips. We met Wilson Pickett and the Fiestas.
Oh my goodness! So Wilson Pickett, was that before he had his biggest smash hit with Mustang Sally?
That was before.
But you must have seen that he was heading places.
Oh, yeah. So, I go way back, like 50, 59.
So do
I. Back in the 50s and everything. So,
you don't look it. If I was to guess your age, I'd say, she's probably like late 40s, maybe mid-40s.
Wow, how kind.
I can't believe you've been on the road all this time, and you look fantastic. And I've got to tell you, for the radio listeners, she's sitting here in front of me, a most beautiful woman with incredible blonde hair, and it's like close shaved either side, and you've got this lovely bit of mohawk, and I didn't see that yesterday because you were wearing a hat, and I thought, God, you should have just
Well, I don't know
worn
if
your
you'll
hair.
find too many 69-year-old women with
69,
mohawks.
you're kidding me.
Sure.
Now, wait a minute, I've got to tell you all, are you okay saying you're 69 on the British radio?
Yeah, I don't mind.
All right.
Being in the music business, I think it keeps you young.
So you moved on, you were with the Jewels, and you were friends with Bo Diddley, and you were trying to sing with Marvin Gaye's sister. I'm just finding this incredible. So now tell me, then where did you go to?
Well, our first meeting with The Godfather of Soul in Washington, D.C. at the Howard Theater. We were performing on stage, and the crowd was just going wild and out. But come to find out that James Brown had come into the theater, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know.
So you thought they were clapping, they were going nuts for you, and sadly it was for James Brown.
It was for James Brown, which still was exciting.
Yes.
The fact that he was in the audience, you know, and he was watching us. So after the show, he came backstage and gave us such a great compliment. You know, we were just like, oh my God, this is James Brown. This was in 1965. And at his peak, you know.
Yes.
Here he is in our dressing room telling us how much he enjoyed our performance. And he said, I'm looking forward to seeing you again. I'm sure we're going to see. I'm sure I'm going to see you again. That was great. That was just fantastic. I've never seen a group like you. The fact that he was there in our dressing room, and it's like, oh my gosh. 3 months later, we were at the Apollo Theater performing. The same thing happened again.
Yeah. The Apollo at that time was the place to play.
Yes, we were very well accepted, you know. And then here come this loud applause, and people,
You think, oh, he's here again.
Come to find out, yeah, he was in the audience.
So he came to hear you?
Well, but I found out that once we joined him, you know, it was a thing for him in New York City. He loved going up to the Apollo to see what was going on, or if there was anyone in town.
Did he wear a disguise, or did everyone immediately?
No, Mr. Brown never wore a disguise. He loved the idea that people knew who he was. You know, he loved crowds, you know. That particular time when he came backstage, he told us, he said, you know, I'd like for you to join my review. I'd like to come out on the road with me. So we were kind of like jumping up and down like, I can't believe this is happening.
And what space of time was this from when you started off to work to this point now?
We joined him in 1966. We saw him at the Apollo.
That's 6 months later, you're going on tour with him.
Yeah. At that time, I was 18 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
I was 18
At
years
18 years old, you're going to be singing with James Brown.
James Brown. The contract was for the Chitlin Circuit, which was starting from the Howard, the Royal Theater, the Uptown Theater, and the Apollo Theater, New York City, and the Regal.
So did you do like one gig in each, or were you playing for a few nights?
Oh, let me tell you, it was a week in each
theater,
7 days a week, 6 shows a day. Every show was a line from the front of the building all the way around the blocks. It was just, I had never seen anything like that.
So what was it like seeing your name up there?
Well, our name would be, it would be in small letters, but just the fact of being on the marquee and knowing that we were there with James Brown Review was just, I mean, you know, I had to keep on pinching myself. And when we started traveling with him, that's when I really realized, okay, this is my life. This is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. You know, I'm going to be singing.
So your name is up in lights, and as you're saying, it's small, but I mean, it's huge.
It was something that I never imagined. I was in awe every time I saw him. He was just, I just couldn't believe a person could dance and move and sing like he did all at the same time.
Elvis at that time was doing a similar thing, and he was really fighting the media and fighting the Southern Baptist churches that were, you know, calling him the devil, and you know, because he was just feeling his music.
Yeah.
Did James have the same?
Well, yes. He went through that not because of what he was doing, but how he dressed and how he wore his hair. Because at that time he had a big, huge pompadour that came to the front, really wavy, and then he had makeup on and everything, so everyone was saying that he was gay. I remember when I joined him, and it seemed like he kind of took a liking to me. I'd go to his dressing room and talk with him. He'd sit and talk with me, and would always ask me how did I like the show, or what did I think, and how did I feel about being out there.
I'm sorry to all the listeners of Glow Time Radio that we had to fade out my interview with Martha High, who sang with James Brown for over 30 years. Martha was going on stage in Indianapolis, and I managed to catch her for the interview just before she went on stage. So we agreed to do a second part of the interview, focusing on her time over 30 years with the wonderful godfather of soul, James Brown. So tune in and we'll play the second part of the interview real soon. This is Tony Moore, your US correspondent for Glow Time Radio, checking out. Bye-bye.